Under communications and announcements, item A, we have an invitation from the MRA to attend the annual sponsor and supporter meeting on January 20th at 6:30 p.m. at the Riney Building. Under department and committee reports, we have the wage and monthly report. And also under the water department, we have item number 2, consideration of approval to purchase 30 Neptune Pro Read touchpad meters at a cost of $107 each, plus one Neptune Pocket Pro Reader at a cost of $750. That is a quote from Michigan Reader Technology Group. Total cost being $3,906 plus shipping. Item B, the fire department report. C, the planning commission report. D, board of review. E, peg commission. And F, sewer project. Under unfinished business, item A is consideration of approval of the adoption of an ordinance to add chapter 54, the Charter Township of Fire Code of Ordinances, to prohibit the ignition, discharge, and use of consumer fireworks within the township except on certain days, to provide for penalties for violation hereof, and to repeal all ordinances in conflict herewith. Under new business, item A is review of the Payne Aquatic Center reports regarding fire resident participation and consideration of approval of the 2013-14 MAPS Intergovernmental Community Pool Agreement at an annual rate of $13,950 payable in 4 installments. Item B is consideration of approval of a request from Linda DeVries to hold additional jazzercise classes at the Butler Township Rec Center on Monday and Wednesday mornings at 8:30 a.m. Jazzercise classes are already held in the evenings on these days, and Mr. DeVries is proposing a reduced rental rate of $6.25 for each additional class offered. Any additions to the meeting agenda? I would like to make one addition under new business, add item C to consider a recommendation from the DDA board to hire Tamara Blazwinky as the DDA executive director at a cost of $25 per hour for a 6-month period. I think that needs to be considered right now so that they can move forward if we approve it. Any other additions to the board agenda? Then I would like a motion for approval. Oh, I'm sorry. Discussion. Under discussion, I have one other item, and that's to add an application for the township committees and commissions. I have an application from Dean Cruz for the PEG Commission. And so I'd like to add that as item D and ask if you would incorporate that into your motion. And you still have a second on that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consideration of approval of the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, we have the packet, the minutes of the December 3rd board meeting, the financial report, approval of the township general fund expenditures, checks 30800 through 30873, including accounts payable of $46,736.37, and payroll at $13,346.37 for a total of $60,386.37 $82.74. Item D is approval of water department expenditure checks 1959 through 1970 totaling $14,939.66. Item E is approval of Board of Review members and supervisors to attend the Michigan Townships Association Board of Review training offered in the month of February 2014 at various locations at a cost of $79 per person. Item F is approval to accept terrorism insurance coverage offered by U.S. Specialty Insurance Company, policy number HMTP-192356 as presented. The policy covers casualty terrorism with a prospective annual premium of $100 and property terrorism coverage with a prospective annual premium of $100. Any concerns with the consent agenda? If not, I will accept a motion to. Motion to approve the consent agenda by Cruz, second by Skira. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We are holding a public hearing at 6:15, and since we're about 6 minutes shy of that, I'm going to move, well, we have public comment now, because I'm not going to move it. So at this point, is there any public comment? Okay.
Under new business, D, what was it?
D was to
put me on the pay commission.
Move to put Dean Bruce on the PEG commission.
Okay, thanks. I didn't understand what you were saying.
That position was vacant for the past month or 2 months.
Betty, you wouldn't be interested, would you?
No, thank you.
Any other public
My
comment?
favorite place is banana.
Okay. Then, Richard, am I correct to assume that we cannot begin the public hearing prior to 6:15?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, let's jump down to department committee reports. Any concerns on your water department report? It's in your packet. The Wade Trump monthly report I'm referring to, item number 1. Okay, then let's move to item 2, which is consideration of approval to purchase the 30 Neptune pro-read touchpad meters and the 1 Neptune pocket flow reader. We looked at those at the last board meeting and discussed it. The building and grounds discussed it, looked at it, and made the recommendation to the township board. So I would, at this point, if you have no further questions or concerns, I would entertain a motion to approve that purchase.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Cruz, second by Koloneski to approve the purchase of the 30 Neptune Pro Read touch meters at a cost of $107 each, plus 1 Neptune pocket flow reader at a cost of $750. From Michigan Meter Technology Group for a total cost of $3,906 plus shipping. Any discussion?
We need to replace the ones we have.
Yes. There's 19 on the list in your packet that need replacing, so we'll have a bank then to replace future problems. Shirley, would you call the roll, please?
Ball? Yes. Walker?
Yes.
Kalinowski?
Yes.
Sierra? Yes. Lachinsky?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Okay, item B, fire department. You have Ron's report in your packet. Ron, is there anything you wanted to add?
So we called out the call on the structure fire, car crash. The crash that we had on Maple involved a semi. Spent about 8 hours on that scene because of the situation. And I think that I I would like the board's okay to go ahead and start looking into cost recovery ordinance. Richard has provided me with a couple of examples. I think we need to look into, this is the second big crash we've had involving a semi where it's cost us a substantial amount of money, and we've been unable to recover that from them. The ordinance that I would like to put in place would be one that would not apply to township residents or persons paying taxes in Violet Township, but would apply to non-residents. And we're not talking about a fender bender at 31 and 28th Street. We're talking about major incidents that involve substantial time and resources on our part that we can't clear because of public safety issues with traffic. I think that's something we should develop into an ordinance and put in place.
Do you want to bring that to the planning commission, Ron?
Is that where I need to go with the planning commission?
This would be a clear power ordinance?
Yeah.
Is there really anything with the planners?
Planners don't have a lot to do with that here. This is more
Just to
of
incorporate
a cost recovery ordinance, if I'm understanding.
Yes, cost recovery ordinance.
Yeah, but not necessarily limited to hazardous materials.
No, because then they say we're picking on one industry.
I don't care what they say, but well, there's a lot of people that carry.
But I mean, we would, and then I guess that's why I would look at those ordinances that you provided and look at adapting one of those to our township. And I know there's other townships in the county that have those cost recovery ordinances.
Right.
So,
But there's two different kinds. There's one that's just cost recovery for virtually any accident, and then there's others that are limited to hazardous materials where you have to call it a.
right. No, this would not be. This would not be hazardous materials alone
Okay.
recovery ordinance.
And you want to exclude township residents from it?
Right.
Under the theory that they're already paying?
They're already paying for our services and their taxes.
That can be a little dicey sometimes, but we can generally.
Okay. Well, we can.
Yeah.
If the board is willing to proceed in that direction, then I would be willing to put in the time to do that and work with Richard.
Why don't you do that, then, Ron, get Richard on that, and then bring it to us.
Okay.
And then Richard, those would just be incorporated into our police power ordinances.
Yep.
Anything else?
Oh, yes, there's a couple of more things. The one thing that is not in my report is yesterday I was able to locate the title for that van that's outside the fire station. So I've taken that down. The Secretary of State's office applied for a title to be changed over to the township. Once that is done, I would like the board's permission to sell that van. And remove the snow from it, put a battery in it, and then advertise it for sale with the board's permission.
We'll need to get us all the specifics on it. We'll write up an ad for it in the paper.
I'm sorry?
Well, we'll need to get us all the specifics on it, the model, the year, and,
Right, I'll put it out.
yeah.
I'll look up the value and all that stuff, and we have to wait for the new title to come before we can sell it, so. I'll come back, I'll bring that information and we'll put them on it and then advertise.
Well, either that or ask for sealed bid. Would you rather do it that way?
Was there any stuff, when they gave it to us, that they tell us anything we can do with it? Can we sell it?
So we paid for it.
Or we pay for it?
We paid $1 for it.
Okay.
And then it's no longer in use with us, so and it's our vehicle's titled to us, or it will be, so it is effective today, it's titled to the township.
Ron, was this being used by the fire department?
Yes.
Okay. Would you send a note or something to Shirley that indicates that it's surplus property and use the word surplus property in your communication? Because that's you have to sort of make a finding that it's surplus property and you don't need it for any other public purpose before you can sell township property. Now, we all kind of understand that it is surplus, but somebody needs to write that word down. I'll get a letter or an email we can throw in the file in case somebody challenges it.
When I get the information as far as value and all that stuff, then I will include that and put all that in a letter and give it to Shirley, and I'll put in there that it's surplus property.
And since acquiring the Hummer, you have no need for that.
Correct.
What year is that? Do you have any idea?
It's a 2001.
Anything else, Ron?
I do, but I can wait till after the public hearing.
All right, it is 6:18 now, and I will start the public hearing. Anyone here that wishes to speak, if you would step to the podium and give your name, please, and we'll recognize you.
Joe Sadowski, I live on Hector Lane, 2814. And I am presently in opposition to the proposal to finish Hector Lane. For several reasons, and I sent a note to Shirley Ball and also to Mr. Walker, indicating, number one, competitive bids should have been obtained for the proposal, or not. 2, remedial work needs to be done to correct at least 6 significant sinkholes in the roadway caused by buried debris. 3rd, the hill on Hector Lane estimated to be a 30 to 40 degree angle incline needs to be remedied. For example, widened, regraded prior to surface. 4th, the cul-de-sac surfacing cost should be eliminated and excluded if this proposal succeeds, since the area is not really utilized and does not service any residences. And presently, as it is snowball. And number 5, the total cost of projection actions cannot be identified at this point. How would assessments be determined? I have some other issues that the folks would like to discuss this. I'm not sure what your position
Well,
also, Richard, based on your comments a couple of meetings ago, that kind of jogged my memory about some of this stuff. There's no plan anywhere for maintenance. Residents have not even discussed it. And in my vision, 2 years from now, it's going to be just a double road. And I think the first time the snow plows can be totally disintegrated. I'd be glad to take any one of you, or all of you, on the bus tour to see what we have prior to spending any money on this thing. Any thoughts, comments? Roger, you live there? Ramones?
Want to comment on that?
Yeah.
Well, this is news to me. I didn't know that you was thinking about doing it. We're taking one step forward and 2 back. I didn't even
No,
know.
we took a step forward to say, look at the material, and say it's good material for road beds. And that's about where we went.
You didn't have
You got one appraisal, and I don't think you could build a doghouse based on the detail of that appraisal. And all you folks have a copy of the appraisal. And also this guy, this Schultz, seems his main business is a auto body shop in Williamton. So I question his ability as an excavator.
Mr. Sadowski, we would typically, if we go forward with this, we would typically, and I'm saying typically based on the experience that we had with Cherry Road, we would typically hire an engineer to come in and do some engineered plans and then seek competitive bids, sealed bids for the project before we establish the assessments. I mean, that's part of the normal process. As you indicated, it's good business practice. That's typically how we would handle this. Now, I don't know, I can ask the road commission's manager here tonight, but a 30 to 40 degree grade is, from my understanding, virtually impassable.
If you were heading west from the bottom of the hill, You can ask the oncoming vehicle head reached.
I think MDOT generally limits grades to what, 10 degrees? That's
Okay, you mean 10%?
10%, yeah.
More than 1 foot and 10 feet. Yeah, I mean, they have different criteria. I personally have not seen the site. I know when I was at the December meeting, I had some discussion during the meeting.
okay.
But, yeah, I've not seen the site. I know, I mean, depending on the situation, geometrics, you have various conditions, and a lot of times some areas, depending on if it's a low volume private road or a high speed road, I mean, there's different geometrics for it. So if it's like a glorified driveway, sometimes you deal with the terrain in the terrain situation.
Well, it's like Crystal Mountain. And I don't think you can get two vehicles passing each other on the hill. Well, somebody has two vehicles, I'll drive one, you drive the other, we'll see if it will fit.
Well, but anyway, to address your first couple of points, that's something that we would typically do before we went forward with anything. But as far as the other issues, I mean, if you're talking cuts and fills and, you know, changing the topography of the road, I think that's a project that's a lot larger than this board had in mind.
Well, I think it is. Some of these, call them hollow spots, are probably designed for me with like, you know, not just like this, they're way down like this. And you can see this kind of falcon down the road, there's snow on it. It's flattening out and taking the bridge out and the opposite end of the pit. Now, to remedy that, I don't think you just fill it. It's 2 years ago, it's going to keep changing. About 3 years of road here. So, you know, I agree with you. I think the cost, if this was to go forward, is underestimated. But it was needed to correct that work, but to make it last a period of time.
Joe, quite candidly, I was really quite surprised when I read your letter because I sat in here, met with you and Roger and Pete, and none of those concerns were addressed at that time. My perception of that meeting was you were in favor of that proposal. And I didn't move ahead of it.
I'm in favor of servicing the road. Let me set an analogy. I assume all of you have been out of the state of Michigan and done a toll road somewhere. Get off the first exit, the toll 75 cents. Get off the last one, was $15. I'm in the first exit. I get, myself and Roger get the vast majority of the dust in the air in our properties and our homes. I'm not against the surfacing. I'm against what has to be done prior to surfacing, so it's a doable project, and it's fast. I know we had a discussion, we barely discussed the material to be used. In fact, I think we, no, that's Mark was aware. It's ground asphalt, which is basically dumping gravel on top of the road. It'll be rolled, goes to that. He says 4 inches thick, how much rolls can be 2 inches thick, proper clay. And once those dips are corrected and fixed, it's going to be scarfed right up. Alternative is to put brine on it twice a year and forget about it. The road's been here for, what, 12, 15 years? 25 years. Nothing's been done with it. Now, we did have 3 proposals for paving, poured concrete, hot asphalt, and those numbers were significantly higher than this. I guess my point I'm trying to make, the roadway was fine, firm, and level. The stuff it can apply, this would probably work for a period of time. Otherwise, I think it's a waste of money.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Anyone else that's Pete?
Well, I'm the same view as you, Terry.
You stand please and identify yourself, Pete.
Pete Ramon. I live on the same street, and it took me a long time to get these signatures. When I talked to Joe, I was under the impression that things were going to be all right on that. I think the underlying issue is that he was under the impression that he had 1 lot versus 2, and we were all going to try and do it equal, and we were going to favor him. but evidently he has 2 lots. And I'm thinking now, that's the reason why he wants to back out. I mean, we're going forward and then backwards. I'm getting kind of tired of this. I wish I would have known a little bit about this ahead of time. And I'm thinking that the underlying issue is that he's thinking that he's going to pay for 2 lots now. And we were actually willing to go equal to help him on that. And the person at the end of the cul-de-sac, which he wants to eliminate, was agreeable to that. And they own just 150 feet. And I forget how much Will owns, it's like 1,000 something.
Right, 1,200 feet.
So we were going to equalize all that, and the guy at the cul-de-sac, and now he wants to stab him in the back, and I don't think that's right.
Okay, thank you, Pete.
And we have enough signatures for this project. I don't know about this engineering stuff and all that. I didn't know we had to do all that stuff. It's just a simple, this crushed asphalt is really basically just gravel. It's not a big deal. We're not going to change the world on that. We already knew that. This is the cheapest way we can go. I don't want to add any more to it.
Well, you're already adding legal fees from each company. You'll be adding surveys and engineering costs. And if you don't spend that money, spend some more and get it done right. And I've got a paper from the Equalization Department that says I have one contiguous parcel. So that's not an issue.
Well, I don't know where this came from. I wish you had told me about this, Joe.
Oh, but you said what Richard mentioned several meetings ago. I got thinking about it.
You're not for this?
Okay, I think at this point, you folks need to discuss that, within your
We
group.
have enough signatures.
Okay, I'm aware of that, Pete, and that's, we at this point, we can act on this tonight, or we can put it off. Richard provided us with a couple of resolutions. Is there anyone else that has not spoken that wishes to speak to this issue?
Roger Gipper, 2725 Kent Lane. I have just one question. We're rushing into this. What is the timeline? When are each homeowner parcel going to know the cost per? Is it going to be assessed by linear foot, or can we still come in with an agreement that each lot shares equally on this?
The answer to those questions, Roger, is this. We have to assess on the basis of front foot until, or unless, all of the property owners come to us with an agreement that says we want to be assessed on some other basis.
And that takes 100%
Takes
cooperation.
100% cooperation. You can bring that to us at any time prior to the time the assessment roll is confirmed by vote of the Township Board, which would happen only after a second public hearing, at which time everybody would know, at the time of that public hearing, the exact amount of the assessment. Now, if we proceed as we did in the past and get competitive bids for this project, we won't know what the cost per lot or even the cost per foot will be until we open up the bids. And we add all the other expenses to it and divide by 12 or 10 or whatever number of lots there are. But once we get that information, there will be another notice, there will be another public hearing, at which time you can come in and squawk about the value of the assessments. The only question that's here tonight before the board is, do they want to establish a special assessment district? We're not setting amounts at this point in time because you're absolutely right. We don't know what the amounts are at this point in time. So nobody's getting assessed tonight for anything. All we're here to do is find out whether or not the Township Board wants to go forward with this project, which means that they want to go forward with establishing a special assessment district. Now, I've also advised the board, they don't need to make that decision tonight. The only thing they have to do tonight is hold a public hearing. We can defer decisions and discussions on this till next month or until the cows come home, as far as that goes. So if your group wants to get together and hash this out a little more, that's fine. And, you know, if you've got questions,
This special assessment district, is this a limited to a 5-year term? Is that?
we haven't decided that either. The term of the special assessment district, I can tell you this, it won't be longer than 30 years. But, you know, but I don't know that you guys all want an assessment for 15 cents a year for the next 30 years. You'd rather get this over with and pay, yeah.
Well, that brings up the second question is, if I were to sell the property, do I have to pay off that special assessment in advance, or can that be worked into the purchase agreement?
That's typically up to you and the buyer. If there's nothing else said, you have to pay the assessment before the transfer of the property, because theoretically, the value of your property already reflects the value of the improvement that you're supposed to be paying for through the assessment. Okay, so, I mean, the theory is that the price you're getting for the property when you sell it should have been enhanced by the value of the improvements, and therefore the seller should pay for those improvements. But that's a matter of negotiation between you and the buyer, and if the buyer agrees to pay the balance of the assessments, you made a good deal.
And just to take off on something Joe said about these sinkholes, they are a problem, and we've addressed a couple of them over the period of years. I don't know if you know historically what they did with that road. They dug pits and buried the stumps and the logs supposedly on the side, but it has caved in into the road, so there are noticeable pits. In good faith, I'm assuming that this contract, or this proposal that was offered, was going to do some leveling off of that, or at least filling in some of those as part of the proposal.
And see, that's typically what I would advise the township to do, is to get an engineer or a surveyor out there to identify these things for us. And Joe was absolutely right. There's no sense spending this money to improve this road if 2 years from now these sinkholes are going to destroy the road anyway. But if there are sinkholes out there, that's something we ought to know about, and we ought to factor that into the cost of the project, or not go forward with the project and let you poor folks deal with the sinkholes for the rest of your lives.
I've already done that in one instance. I don't want to do it again.
But, I mean, I don't know what I can do about the sinkholes. You know, they're either going to be part of the project to get them fixed, or they're not. And I don't know what kind of cost you're looking at to fix them, or even if they're fixable.
Well, Roger has some experience with one at the end of his driveway, and that cost him.
Cost me over $1,200 to get out. And they went down at least 12 feet, and I told them to stop right there because they were already halfway across Hamker Lane. And I said, I'm not going to pay any more unless I get some assistance.
Well, it sounds like you have a real problem then with the bed of the road. Sounds like there maybe isn't one.
In isolated spots where the contractor that put the road in didn't use good common sense, in my opinion. But he was given approval. The same developer of that did a development up in Morella Township, and they required asphalt roads. Filer Township dropped the ball in terms of the requirements on this road, in my opinion.
Well, you can see in spots where these sinkholes are migrating across the road. And they're not just isolated to the curb.
The hill is an issue too. I personally stopped a vehicle about 4 years ago. Some kids were out there. They were speeding down the hill and seeing how far they could go out and come back, and then turn around and come back the other way. So I stood out in the middle of the road and stopped them and told them that I was a personal friend of the sheriff, and took their license plate number. They took off, but there was kids in the back of the pickup, and they were bouncing all over the place. We've attempted at least twice to have that grade on that hill taken down, and it's a problem. One of the homeowners has said that they are going to first, had suggested they were going to invest their own money in trying to do something with the hill. That's up to them.
Well, that's another problem. Now we got one person saying they can push the hill, Is that before or after the surface and everything? You don't notice yet. In fact, the Italian neighborhoods are herding cats, if you know what I'm talking about.
I didn't hear that, Bill, the whole neighborhood was what?
It's like herding cats. And we don't have meetings anymore, so you got 12 people go opposite directions, or someone go opposite directions. You know, this is probably not an issue with you folks, but this is a real world.
Our hope was to get a special assessment, therefore get everybody on board to pay their fair share and putting that road back into acceptable or better condition. Because you could never get everyone to chip in their fair amount. So I'm hoping that through this special assessment that if we could work out all the other problems we're just throwing at you.
Sounds like whether you...
Are you willing to pay for the engineering?
Yeah, see now, that goes back to my assessment. You know, when you start adding up engineering, legal fees, administrative costs,
Survey.
interest, what is going to be the bottom line dollar? You couldn't get an answer to that, so you get the engineer, you know, we go on.
And it sounds like whether you put any kind of a paving material down or not, you've got some issues that need to be fixed regardless.
The number one issue is to get everybody to contribute, and that's been going on for, I've got copies of bids that we've tried to get work done, and it's just, people have, between Ron Brown, between Elmers, Jason Thompson, they've all given us offers, or proposals, but we can't go forward because we have no fundings. So that's why we should, let's look at the special assessment. But the more we open that up, the more costs come up, so I don't know where we're at now. I just hope that we can get approval for the special assessment and give us time to do some research on our own or some legwork on our own.
Well, you can still do that. I mean, like I said, we don't need to take action on this at all tonight. Just put it on the back burner until you're ready to go forward, or not.
The crushed asphalt is kind of like a one-time thing. It's not really available. You can't get it at Elmer's, you can't get it different places. We just happened to get it because they were tearing down the road down by the federal park. And this Schultz is the one that was hauling the material from, and he happened to put a bid on the material, and we were lucky to have him hold that for us. I don't know how long he's going to hold it for us, but they're not doing anything with it right now. I told him about the meeting and stuff like that, and it looks like they got all the signatures that we need, and now we're going to go back. This stuff is not really, it's not a miracle thing that we're going to get our goal, everything done on that. But it's going to be quite an improvement for me. I live down in the bottom of the hill. It's going to be quite an improvement for me when it rains, you get washouts and that stuff holds up pretty good for that. But it's going to serve our purposes for that, and it's the cheapest way to go. If we want engineering and that, geez, we're going to tie into a lot more stuff on it. It's basically just gravel that they're putting on. Only it's got some qualities of asphalt, and it kind of binds a little bit together. And the road commissioner, both of them said it was for the money that's pretty good stuff to put on. As far as everything else added onto this stuff, we can go on and on about that. I just suggested we go on ahead, but it's not going to solve all the problems. It's going to solve what we're looking for, what we started all looking for. Now with these other issues, I don't know.
Okay, is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Okay, anyone on the board?
Sure. If our engineers go in there, and they don't like that option, they don't like the road the way it is, then the cost goes up, because if we have to do it differently, then they're going to have to pay a lot more money.
Did I mention, Mark, I know when I was here at the December meeting and we had some discussion on this, and I talked to these gentlemen, at least my understanding, I think you were just going to put the crushed asphalt, basically get a new, surface, crushed asphalt, do some grading work. And then I think we brought up it's something you really need to look at from a long term, from a maintenance standpoint. Because once you put crushed asphalt down, it's not the easiest to regrade, because it really, packs in. So, and that's one thing we did, bring up during that meeting. I have not personally seen the site, but obviously I think maybe it's my understanding, maybe Jerry was altered previously before my time. I think somebody had mentioned that. Okay. And I think, it sounds like you're talking about a lot of different situations with the site conditions where you have, some poor soil, some very muck, topsoil, stumps, you name it. So it really depends on what the residents want to accomplish. If you want just a, better quality, driveway with a crushed asphalt surface, that was, I guess, my impression when I was here in December. But, I think it really comes down to what they want as residents.
My option is, if you grind it twice a year, be done with it.
But if you're talking about, doing some major work, if there is some really bad soils and you want a long-term good roadway, you're going to be paying a lot of money for that. Just for somebody to take a look at it and see what the soil situation is. If Roger, if you're talking, you had, 12-foot deep hole, there might be other isolated areas where there's a lot of expense. So I think it comes down to what, the residents want to do. But I know I brought up the last meeting, when you put a crushed asphalt surface down, it does have, it's basically a mixture of, gravel with the, bituminous material in it, so it will, tighten up. But like I said, eventually it will create potholes, and then to basically regrade it, you have to literally have like a grader come in, like with scarifier teeth on it, to basically loosen it up and then regrade it again. So as far as special assessment, you want to look at, the future maintenance on it. So.
Well, in a perfect world, we would have all gone ahead and put this down. We've talked about this, recycled asphalt, but who pays for it? Parcel H throws in, does his share. We have 2 vacant parcels in there, and this has gone on. I purchased that in 1989. I built my house there, and I have put thousands of dollars into the road in front of my house, 500 and some, 400 and some feet. In a perfect world, we'd all agree we'd do it because it's better than what we have. But we can't get everybody to contribute. That's why the special assessment district was, I think, the direction to go. Now, if we have to have engineering costs and all that, then that's not the way to go. People are not going to agree with that, even though they signed the petition.
Well, some people aren't even paying their dues of $75 a year, so trying to encourage them to contribute to a endowment fund or something for future maintenance is going to be very slim.
Is the goal with the road to make it a public road?
No.
So there's special assessment? Because right now, I can't get 2 fire trucks down there.
No. Side by side, no, absolutely not.
No, but right, like today, if I went out there, I could get the trucks down the hill, but once they were down there, I would have a problem getting them back
You
up
have to back out.
because of that grade. And my concern is if it's a public road, then you would have to do the engineering and lower the hill.
But we still have to do the engineering.
As a township investment.
Driveway, and it's going to be a driveway, basically.
Is the engineering, Richard, is that a stipulation for a special assessment?
No, it's not. It's prudent, however.
Why is the township suggesting that we do all this at cost? What is, maybe I'm not understanding the whole thing, because we just really want a special assessment so that everybody pays their share. Why do you guys care whether, what the future is? I know you do, but but why, what do you have at stake if it,
Well,
I mean, you're gonna get paid back.
pardon?
You're gonna get paid back through the special assessment, whether it's,
But when the road washes out 12 months after it's installed, you guys are gonna be upset.
no, what,
Trust me.
I understand it, but how does that affect the township?
Because we'd like to, I mean, if the township is gonna spend all this money that ultimately comes from you, you know, wouldn't you rather do a good job as opposed to a half-baked job? I mean,
I'm still missing the point.
Well, the point is, I think, that Richard's trying to make, is that if we were to establish a special assessment tonight and go forward, we don't want you to walk out of here tonight, be happy, and come back a year from now, up in arms that, boy, you know, we paid the special assessment and now we don't have a road that's any better than what we had before.
See, this is the point that what I'm trying to say is that you have a fire one here that says you can't get us, do you guys really care about us, or you just, I mean, what happens if you have a house fire?
well, I mean, yeah, at some point, you know, this is a private road. This is not the township's responsibility to take care of your road.
Now
Okay.
you get that point where I'm trying to make.
Okay, but the point is that if you come to the township and ask us to take care of your road, I think we're going to use a certain level of minimum standards to make sure that we have a road that the fire department can use, for example, without risking the equipment of the fire department. I mean, Pete, I've seen
Where was he at 10 years ago then? If I had a
right down on Water Street where I've been for the last 30 years.
If I had a fire there, what would you have been concerned?
Well, I can tell you this, that at some point, if the road isn't properly maintained, the township will stop providing fire services to it, to all of you folks.
We've been paying taxes
It doesn't matter whether you're paying taxes or
for
not.
8 years.
They did it up in Onekama Township.
Paying taxes for not having fire.
No, they told the people on the private road, you either gotta widen this road and fix it, or we're not gonna send the fire truck down there.
Have you,
And they stopped sending fire trucks up to the end of Ivanhoe Road and a couple of those other
Well, I would
roads
think
until
so.
they got it fixed.
I would think the township would go down and at least see our road there. I mean, if he's concerned, if you guys are concerned, at least look at our road and see what we have. And I didn't know that he can't get down there, that I forget calling him because he can't get down there.
Well, there's propane trucks that go up and down that hill. There's UPS, there's FedEx, and ambulance could certainly go up and down the hill. Not to abreast, but one or the other.
Well, I would appreciate if the fire department went down there and take a look, and if he's has concerns about not being able to go there on a call, because we need to let us know. We need-
Well, it's generally not getting in, it's getting back out that is usually the problem for the fire trucks. I mean, if they got
The way
to,
it is right now, what we would do is we would send, our first 2 trucks would go in without a problem. The problem is that when you take a truck that's loaded with 2,000 gallons of water, and you drive it down the hill and then you empty it, those trucks are designed to provide a lot of power and that to move all that water. When you empty them, they're really light in the rear end. And when you try to go back up that hill, that's where the issue is. If the truck was loaded with water going back up the hill, it probably wouldn't be an issue.
do you have room to turn around?
There is a cul-de-sac, we could make a turnaround, and we would also use the driveway. What we would do right now is we would take those initial 2 and make it our tack, and then what we would do is from the top of the hill, we would lay hose down to the trucks that are down below, and then pump water from the top of the hill to the trucks down below. One of the issues that I've run into is that people like to say, when you go on their property and try to tell them that you need to do this or you need to do that in order for us to get in, and they tell you that this is a private road, doesn't fall under your jurisdiction as far as any authority to make changes to the road, and so you can leave. Their road is not the only road that's an issue. I have talked to residents on another road. They just look at me and then they go back in the house. I don't, if it was a public road, I would definitely, when the road is being put in, go ahead and there are certain standards that the county or the people that to install a public road are required to make.
This is nowhere near the standards of a public road.
No.
We're talking about.
So we deal with the private roads, we deal with the situation that we run into and handle it from there.
Well, they're gonna do some grading, and with that grading, they're gonna fill in some of those sinkholes. They're not gonna dig down 10 feet, they're not gonna do that. On the hill, they're gonna try, and there's a dip on that hill, they're gonna try and fill that up.
Who's they?
Schultz.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not raining anywhere, what he's going to do.
Right.
You know, who signs their contract, who draws up their contract? This guy did some surfacing, 6 months later, we got a problem, he's gone. Where's the recourse?
Well, that's one of the things that the engineer would do for us, would provide us with a set of specifications for the contractor to meet in setting his bid. And if that includes light grading, filling in potholes, then we need to specify that so we're sure that it's included in the cost of the bid. But the contract will be held by the township. It won't be held by any of the private individuals. But I can tell you this, the township over my dead body will just, sign that one-page proposal that you got from Mr. Schultz and say that's good enough as a contract. I mean, I understand what it is, but it doesn't satisfy the minimum requirements for an agreement that the township would expect in a circumstance like this. I mean, we want specifications, and we would want to know exactly what it is the contractor is going to do for the money that we agree to pay him. I mean, that's just prudent.
So will you have contact with Schultz then, or at what point?
I'm not going to have any contact with anybody unless the township decides to go forward with this. But and if we do go forward, my advice to the township will be to get some specifications developed for this road and set it out for bids. And Mr. Schultz is free to bid. He's free to resubmit his $28,000 bid or whatever it was that you received from him. And if he's the lowest qualified bidder, the township might accept his bid. But let's see once you start putting specifications in place that says, this road has got to be X feet wide, it's got to have so many inches of material, you've got to do so much grading, you need you need to do the cul-de-sac, you need a culvert here, you need a culvert there. I don't know if this guy's going to hold his $28,000 bid.
Well, much longer, we won't even have them here.
Right.
But he can't be the only guy in the state of Michigan who has that.
Yeah,
Michigan's not fair,
I have a question. When the township would sign to pay this money on and then collect it later, is that for the lien on the property?
yes.
Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to speak before we close the public hearing? Yes.
Is there anybody up there on the board that was here when that road was established? When David Chyka was the developer of that property back there, he did two different things. On Hemker, he dug holes and put all the stumps that he had to get away to make the road. And over on Standell, he took the trees and shoved them over on people's property. Was anybody here that was here at that time? That was a terrible thing that he did on Hemker Lane. Because there's several of those dips in it. Now, I live on Red Apple, so I have a lot of frontage on Hemker. But as far as us, and I sympathize with them for the dust that they've got to put up with. Because I came from a place where we had dust all the time.
How long ago was this?
Well, probably they established the road 25 years ago.
And I don't think anybody on this board was sitting at that time.
I was your attorney. Sure it was.
Not 25
That's
years
25 years
ago.
ago.
Yeah,
I lived there all year.
you were in there 25 years? No.
close but not right.
See, my thing, if I'm on the board here, I want an engineer to go through here. If you got all these problems here, we gotta identify the problems, we have to have those fixed, because no matter what you put on there then, it's not gonna last very long.
That's right, if you're not gonna do it right, then don't do it. A lot of the people that live on that road don't wanna go through that expense.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, I would table this.
I'll support that.
You know, because we've got too many things going on here.
Great.
And I think we should table this thing. When you people get your act together and stuff, come back and see it. Because if you can't, if you got the big hill, you got all the other stuff, and you want us to guarantee or to help you get the money to do that, I want it done right, so a year from now or 2 years from now, all you people will be lying right up back there yelling at me. Guaranteed. Guaranteed you'll be there, because what are you going to get for your money then? I'm sorry, but that's the way I look at it.
It's still gonna be a private drive.
Yep.
Anyone else?
In the meantime, what do we do with this offer from Mr. Schultz for, I mean, he's gonna back out of it probably, or you can resubmit it.
Yep.
I don't know what you want to do with the offer for Mr. Schultz.
Well, I think.
But that offer definitely has to be a lot more precise and include a lot more in it than what's currently in it. That's very apparent, I think, to everybody here.
Unless you can get him to rewrite that thing and submit it and tell us exactly what he's gonna do. With the hill, with all the other stuff you're gonna have there. If you get him to do that, and we can look at it, and if it makes sense to everybody, then he can do it. See, I want you people to have a road that lasts a while.
And what,
I don't want you to spend all this money. Now, I know everybody wants it.
do you know that I pay that much, almost just that much just for gravel? For my, every time it rains, I have to get a 10-yard truck come over and dump that. This is a little bit better than that.
Yeah, but it will wash away too, and you'll have another dump truck.
This stuff is not gonna wash away like the gravel.
I made my motion. I have a second.
Okay, motion by Cruz, second by Shinsdale.
We need to close the public hearing before we start.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. You're right. Hearing no other desires to speak, then I will close the public hearing at this point. And now, Dean has made a motion that we table this, and seconded by Tom Kaczynski. Any other discussion?
Okay, tabling means till the next meeting, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
So are you sure you want to use that word table, or you want to?
Well, you can table it again next month if you want to.
If they can come up with a plan that shows us exactly what this guy's gonna do and stuff, we'd have to look at
More detail,
it.
more
Well,
specific.
I wanna see more detail.
I have a question. Do we have township engineer, let's look at the hill, from a professional standpoint, offer some advice that should be done with it?
We don't have a
The
township.
township doesn't have an engineer.
We have Essex County, somebody that, guessing that could give some advice.
Are you asking Mark?
You know, Columbia, this time of the year, you're not
Okay, well,
gonna see a whole lot.
You can stay probably. Smart man.
Well, no, I mean, as far as, you know, with snow and everything else, you really can't see it.
Oh, my point is the angle.
Well, the angle, I mean, you can take a look at it,
I
I
think
think,
you guys are crazy, or you can do this.
you know, I think what Richard is saying, I think it's very important to have a good detailed scope, in other words, from the contractor, if he's proposing, if you're gonna have a glorified driveway, you know, with crushed asphalt,
understand,
whatever, if he's doing some grading work, but I
understand
understand.
somebody with a professional background to look at the hill, it's just like that, but it should be like this. And
if you're looking at cutting down a hill, you're looking at a major operation, you know. I mean, I'd be willing to glance at it. Obviously, I work for road commission. We can only work with county certified roads. But I might, like I said, I'd be willing to glance at it. You know, if the snow's not the best condition, we look at the road. You know, I mean, if you have, like I said, if you have some poor soil conditions and everything, I mean, you know, you really can't. It really depends on what the road condition is. I mean, the gravel right now, so you know how it holds up throughout the year right now. Is it halfway decent or springtime, especially in the spring, or not?
Station office is frozen.
Well, I'll let you guys discuss that maybe after the meeting. That we're gonna move ahead. Yes, motion by Cruz, second by Lachinsky to table this matter. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. We are going to go back to our item A, meeting agenda, and that's a special presentation by Mark Zoll.
We can finish fire department report later.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's,
That's fine.
yeah, let's move ahead with Mark so we don't detain him any
Well,
longer.
it doesn't matter. We'll be here.
We're here for the night.
Okay.
We're on the meeting after the meeting.
Okay, we'll jump back to that. Ron, why don't you finish your report and then we'll go.
In the second part of my report, I listed that we were going to determine our primary focus to be on the grounds in the building at the fire station. And I mentioned the exterior lighting is failing out. We spent a fair amount of money on repairing that already. We currently have lights that are not operable. In the back of my report, I included information from John Felicia from the Felicia Electric. He's been doing our electrical work for us. And we looked at replacing the exterior metal halide lights with LED lights. And you can see the current fixture used for a 12-month period is 943 kilowatt hours for the current lights. And with the new fixtures, the LED fixtures would be 136 kilowatt hours, which is a substantial amount. Well, the new lights will cost us $2,687. That will have be paid back in electrical savings in less than 3 years, approximately 3 years, maybe a little less. So we would like the board's permission to go ahead and purchase the new exterior lights with installation and
Is this what you're going to be using for $3,000 PCA on?
well, normally what we've done in the past is if it's $2,687 caused our budget to go under, then we would put that $3,000 in PCA into the budget at the point where we run out of.
Or wait until April 1st to have this done?
Can we wait till then?
Well, can we wait till then?
Well, I can't guarantee the price of it. In fact, we've had this in the works probably for 3 months, and we've gone back and forth and looked at it, and we had a couple of failures that we had to contend with. And then we had to have it repriced again because of the fluctuation in fixture prices.
We're almost to April. By the time you would be paying for this.
Pardon?
It would almost be April by the time you have it in and be paying for it anyway.
Well, I guess I don't understand what you're talking about.
When would you start this project?
We would go ahead and order the fixtures now, and then John would install them as weather permits.
So that would be at least 6 weeks, right?
It may.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he may do that. If he orders them now, he may. He told me that he was going to start installing them on days when the weather was good. He would start putting them in because we have some areas that currently don't have lights. Like our front door to our fire station does not have a light because that's one of them that failed. We had the one in the back over the door, back door to the meeting room, is the one that had the ballast short out and wouldn't let us reset the circuit breaker. So that's another one that's a security issue. That's where our camera shines. So we need the light over that door because we can't see that camera.
Well, we did get a $3,000 from DCA for annual contribution.
You're not sure you're gonna get it though.
We did.
No, they're not.
They've donated us $3,000 a year for the last several years. The last 2 years we haven't earmarked that for anything. We just put it in our account. And so this year I thought this would be a good, and we'll have a payback in less than 3 years.
You want to go ahead with it, especially if you have security issues.
Let's do it.
Let's do it because you can't have all these lights on. You can't, because then people can,
Right, well, and that is,
especially in the back part of it.
right, and it's a sliding issue also in the front.
I'll make a motion that you go ahead and contract with Township and get started on this project.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Sure, you want to call the roll?
Martinsky?
Yes.
Ball? Yes. Bruce?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Valensky?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ron.
Thank you very much. And the last thing that I have on my report is the hiring of the 4 new people. These 4 people that are listed in my report will bring us up to a full staff. 3 of the 4 are already trained medically, and 2 of them are also trained as firefighters already. The other young man is in fire class now and will be a certified firefighter at the end of May. I'd like to put them on our staff and raise us up to. Three of these are longtime Manistee residents, Manistee County residents. They work locally. 2 of them work locally at PCA. I'm sorry, 1 works at PCA, 1 works at Bob's River. The other gentleman is moving here to work from downstate. He has a job up here, and so he's a firefighter, EMT, down where he's coming from. So he was looking for a department to join. So there's, like I said, 3 of the 4 are already trained, and the 1 is in training now.
I'll make a motion we.
I'll start. Motion by Cruz, second by Valensky to approve the hiring of the 4 new applicants to the fire department.
And they had this, or have you done background check?
No, not yet. I didn't want to do that until after the board approved that we'll go through the process.
Well, now, aren't a couple of them on the Sonic department?
They work.
They work.
Is there a reason they're no longer on strong?
They were not released by Stronic. They decided to move forward.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And we will now move back to.
Thank you very much.
David, special presentation, Mark. Holden, this county building manager.
Thank you for being patient.
Oh, no problem. I went to a Necrona this morning. We were there for 2.5 hours and they were still going on when we left. So, this is just facts of information. I'm going to go through some of what I'm not going to go through live detail because we might be here till 10 o'clock or something. But I'll share the highlights with you. Those 7 copies. So, Mr. Wilson can present it.
Even people like over.
Thanks for having us here. Basically, I got one of the road commissioners, Sal Greco, that's here also with me. And like I said, my name is Mark Solden. I'm the new manager. I've been here now since December 2nd, so I've been here a little over a month. So, and I think I basically brought the snow with me. Unfortunately, I hope it goes away because we definitely had a lot of snow. I think we've had like over 100 inches so far, and it's my understanding we have like an average of like 130 inches a year over here, so it can, shut off anytime soon. But what I'm going to basically go through, I've got like a packet of information, and basically, there's a lot of handouts, and I'll just kind of scan through those real quick, pretty much put together a document that's like information about the road commission. It's a lot of detailed information, 7 pages long, so I'm not going to go through that in detail. Just if you do have time, we appreciate it if you take a look at it. I think, it has a lot of information about the miles of road that we maintain, a lot of information about the road commission, the commissioners, our staffing, major equipment. One highlight, it has a lot of information about the gas tax, the funding issue. It's always an issue. The gas tax has been pretty much flat for about 15 years now. So if you look on page 3, it does explain a lot about the gas tax. Because with road commissions in cities, villages, MDOT, other governmental agencies, transportation funding has been an issue for quite a few years now. And so on the gas tax, it's basically a state gas tax is 19 cents a gallon. And out of that, road commissions get 6 cents, but it's spread over 83 road commissions based on different formulas. So when you go get gas for your vehicles, anytime, regardless if it's $3 a gallon or $4 a gallon, it's a fixed amount. So of course, when the gas goes sky high, people drive less, and whatnot. So in reality, we lose, we basically have less funding. So that has been an issue for, quite a few years now, because 97 was the last gas tax increase. So I think the last 10 years or so, everything has been pretty flat as far as our funding, and all of the other prices are going up. The price of fuel, equipment, construction materials, stuff of that nature. So, we have, a lot of information in this, on these sheets for you to take a look at sometime. And the condition of our paved road, I actually have one of the handouts too. Every year on a federal aid road system, which is a lot of the primary roads, basically somebody from MDOT, one person from the road commission, and one person from Northwest Michigan Council of Governments in Traverse City. It's kind of the area planning agency. We drive all the paved primary roads, the federally primary roads, and when that was done last year, pretty much 43% are in good to excellent condition. 57% are fair to very poor condition. And the average rating for the 203 miles that were rated is basically what they call a 5, because the Paisley rating is done from a 1 to a 10. 1 is like a failed condition. A 10 is like a brand new pavement. So kind of on the 203 miles that were rated last year, we're at a 5, which is right in the middle and basically fair, on an average. So I mean, there's a lot of needs here in the county. So eventually, we hope something happens in Lansing to help transportation funding. Election year next year or this year, so I guess we'll see. Hopefully, late this year, maybe we'll see something. But like I said, there's a lot of detailed information. I think we can even provide that for residents, you name it, because I think it's very important that people understand the full, what we actually do as a road commission, how many miles of road we maintain, bridges, stuff of that nature. So I'm not going to go into detail. I just wanted to highlight a few things. Obviously now, as far as road commission goes, we're dealing with winter maintenance. Lately, the latest storm, I don't think we have things as bad here as things are in other parts of Michigan currently as far as snowfall and that, but we've been dealing with mainly the current amount of snow and the blowing and drifting, and we've been plugging away, and I think we're getting the roads open, but, just, I think we're hoping maybe by tomorrow the storm will subside. This we're not getting, I think some other areas in Michigan have got, quite a bit of snow, so. So mainly, most of our staff right now is working, with the winter maintenance. Excuse me, bear with me a second. As far as projects completed last year, or again 2013, I think there's some major jobs that were completed, obviously before my time. I know we had a couple of bridges. One was up on 13 Mile Road east of US 31, which was a major project. I think it was at the Bear Creek. And then we had one south of 55 on Low Bridge Road, and those were projects that had state and federal funding. And we did some, I think, some overlay work on 9 Mile Road east of Kellebaugh. And then we did some chip seal work too on like High Bridge Road, and then also I think up on Seaman Road. So, we accomplished some projects this past year. And now as far as 2014, we have some state and federal aid projects that will be constructed. We have on 9 Mile Road between US 31 and Big 4 Road, which basically is east of the road commission there. That project, it was let for bids in December, and Elmer's is actually doing that project. It's like a $913,000 project. And that's, mostly some crushing and shaping of the existing blacktop, resurfacing, new guardrail in different areas, and so that job's supposed to start sometime in May. And that actually has state and federal money, and then it actually has like a safety grant on it also. So there's a lot of money on that project. And actually the design on the next 2 miles that goes from Big 4 to Kellebaugh is being finalized right now by our consultant, and that'll be in like April letting, so that'll start right after the other projects. So there's going to be like I think like a 7-mile section that will be done on 9 Mile Road, this year. And I know we're doing some, basically some work on chip seal work on Seaman Road, south of M55 down to Oxyville Road, as far as state and federal aid money. And kind of talk about the pavement conditions. We have contact information in there as far as I assume as a township you do get a certain number of calls from township residents about road conditions, you name it. Service, I call them service requests, complaints, but mainly if it's regarding one of our roads, you just send them to the road commission and we'll pretty much investigate the situation and deal with it if need be. So I think it's mainly just here. If you have any questions regarding anything, we're making rounds pretty much all over the townships, and pretty much we're available, future meetings if you want us to come to a meeting. I'm more than willing to come to one of your meetings. So just be out. So I don't know if you have any questions on anything specifically. So.
Any questions of Mark? Anyone? Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
Take your time, and again, as Dean said, we appreciate your patience.
Okay. No problem. Thanks for having us.
Gary, you did put a schedule on here
Yeah.
too, and we appreciate when you guys send representatives and let us know. Communication is highly important.
And if anybody would like to.